up, YouTube? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with me and spending a little time with me. Alright, so today's video is about more recommendations. So watch these movies, episode 4. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to start off kind of tame, and I'm going to work my way a little more to the outer regions of cinema. I like doing this series. This just gives me a chance to talk about some movies that I think are really good. Some of them you know, some of them you won't at least have heard of, but they don't get talked about as much. They don't get as much shine. So I think this is a good way to discover something that you haven't seen before, at least to give it a shot. Again, these are all things I really enjoyed, so let's just go ahead and get to it. And like I said, I'm going to start off with the tamest thing, and again, work our way a little further out, and we'll see how you guys feel about that. The first movie is one, again, a lot of people know of. Not sure how many have seen. This is the movie that introduced Keke Palmer to the world, even before she got on Disney Channel. This is Aisha and the Bee. This is a pretty family-friendly movie. There are some choice words early on, so just be aware of that if you do want to watch it with your young ones. She is right here, of course. She is a young girl growing up in Compton. She's not doing all that well in school, but finds out that she kind of has a knack for spelling. And then she decides that she's going to try to make it to the National Spelling Bee. And she is told to study with this man. Lawrence Fishburne plays this character right here. He's kind of the wise old sage of the movie, and he tries to help her with technique and teach life lessons and all those kinds of things. And of course, there's her mom. Mom is a single mom, played by Angela Bassett, who's always outstanding. She is more practical about things. She's not really seeing how spelling is going to help her daughter. Her daughter has more important things to worry about as far as she's concerned. So we get that power struggle between the three of them, actually, that are on the cover, and there's some other good characters in there as well. But this is a really good movie. Again, really family-friendly movie, but there's a little bit of profanity, mostly towards the beginning. But it's depending on your kids, it may not be anything that they haven't heard before. So just take that with a grain of salt. Do with it what you will. But I highly recommend Aisha and the Bee. Next movie is a movie by Chris Rock. And when I say by Chris Rock, a lot of us know Chris Rock. We all know Chris Rock after the Oscars. I get it. I don't have anything to say about that right now, because that's not about this is not about that. It's about this movie. And this movie he actually directed. He's the main character, so he stars in it, and he co-wrote it. He didn't write it by himself, he co-wrote it. And that movie is I Think I Love My Wife. So in this movie, Chris Rock plays just a regular Joe kind of guy. He's been happily married for however many years he's been married, and he finds himself getting bored. And so him and his wife are just not clicking, just not on the same page. If you've been in a relationship that's lasted any decent length of time, like maybe let's say 2 years or more, you've had that time. You go through those ups and downs. So in this case, he's in one of those times where he's feeling kind of bored. Not that he's not looking to get a divorce or anything, but he's just bored with his marriage. And along comes, that's played by Gina Torres, by the way, along comes an old flame, and that's Kerry Washington in that role, and she takes an interest to him, and things get kind of testy. So we get to watch Chris Rock squirm and try to figure things out, try to figure his marriage out, try to figure out, or if he wants to go with the old flame. So it's a pretty good movie. It's not anything that's groundbreaking, but I really enjoyed the movie. So check it out. I Think I Love My Wife. The next one is, we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to go back a few decades into the 60s. And this movie is Bullet, starring Steve McQueen. So Steve McQueen is a cop. Obviously, you can tell from his getup right on the front. He's a cop, and there is a witness in a murder case. I believe it's a murder case. It might be a drug case. It's been a while since I watched it. But she's, well, it doesn't say, it just says an important trial. She's a witness, and she is in a hospital bed. She's dying, and he decides he is going to take it out on everybody who's responsible and find out who's responsible and do what he needs to do. So it feels, in that regard, it feels a lot like movies that came out especially in the 70s and in the 80s. So it's a little bit ahead of its time in that way. Steve McQueen is outstanding in the role, and it has, you can see the cars on here, and I'm not sure if it mentions it. No, it doesn't mention it on the cover, but it does mention it on the back, that it has one of the best car chases in movie history. It's all practical, because this is way before the CGI era, so there's no computers being used here. Real cars. If you saw Top Gun Maverick, you know at the beginning Tom Cruise comes on before the movie and tells you how they did everything practically. Real planes, real G's, all that stuff. That applies to Bullet in this car chase. It's real cars doing real speed, doing real things, and it is one of the best car chases of all time. The movie overall, good movie. So if you're into action movies, into revenge movies, check out Bullet. I'm going to come back into the 2000s. What year was this? 2015? 2012. This movie is directed by William Friedkin. William Friedkin is best known for directing The Exorcist. This movie, again, this is 40 years after The Exorcist, and he's well into his 70s when he directed this movie, but it is a grimy, sleazy treat, and that is Killer Joe. So yeah, now we're stepping a little further out into the boundaries. This movie, like I said, it's a lot of sleaze happening, but it's just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. Matthew McConaughey is the title character. He is Killer Joe. We also have, Emma Hirsch is here on the cover. Gina Gershon, she plays a great role. Juno Temple is probably the star. She's kind of the breakout star of this movie, Juno Temple. I hadn't really, at least to me, I hadn't seen her in anything before this. At least I don't think I had. And she stands out here. And there's also Thomas Hayden Church, plays kind of a clueless dad kind of guy, but it's a really fun movie. But again, if sleaze is not your thing, stay away. If this is kind of grimy, kind of sleazy, kind of maybe a little off-putting for some people. Not a lot of likable characters. Yeah, I'm trying to think of one. I can't really think of any likable characters in the movie. But that said, I did really like the movie. So Killer Joe is one that I recommend, but with an asterisk. You know how your movie tastes run. So Killer Joe is one to think about. And the last movie on this episode of Watch These Movies is maybe even a little further out into the margins than that. This one is a foreign language film. This one is a Korean film. Is this a Korean film? Yeah, this one is a Korean film. This is a movie that right on the cover tells you what it is, and it definitely lives up to what it says it is. And the movie is called H. Simple title. Not a big fan of the title, but it works. And right here you can see it's 7 meets Silence of the Lambs, and that is pretty much what it is. This guy, he's not even really the main character. He's one of the main characters. The main character is more this young lady here on the back. She's a detective, and she was investigating a serial killer, and the case goes on and on and on. And the partner that she had, he got so engrossed in it and became so discouraged by the events of working that whole case, that he committed suicide. The killer actually turns himself in, and he's sitting on death row. A few years go by, and suddenly there's a copycat out there, because our killer's still on death row, and there's a copycat out there, and she goes back on the case to try to catch the guy, whoever this new person is, and this is her partner. And yes, 7 meets Silence of the Lambs. It sounds, when I'm saying it out loud, it sounds super derivative, and even this tells you that it's derivative. but it is more than that. It is a little bit more than that. And yeah, we get into some outrageous things happening in this movie. Most people have never heard of this movie. Um, if you're a Tartan Asia Extreme fan, you might have heard of it, you might have seen it, and if you have, let me know. Not again, I don't know too many other people. I can't remember running into anybody else who's seen it, and I'm not 100% sure about recommending it to everybody. But since you're here, I figure you might be willing to take a chance. So check out H if you are so inclined. That is that is all 5 movies that I have for Watch These Movies. Please let me know if you've seen any of them, what you think of them, or if there are any that you plan on watching. And definitely, if you do watch one, come back, let me know what you thought of it. I'm always looking for a good movie conversation. Do the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.